How many South African coaches left and went to go coach at Manchester United? Imagine how competitive the league would be if we had a coach Pitso back in versus a Ribeiro, versus a Caruso, versus a Benny. Then you bring in Abo Ramurebule, Abo Fadlu. We should be fetching Abo Fadlu, man. They're respected out there. You know, Pirates fans fight me all the time about this. And I'm going to stick to my gun. Guys, Pirates' front line is not as prolific as we try to make it seem when we're speaking. Newsflash, it's over 20 years. Newsflash, Ten Hag has more trophies than Arteta. Newsflash, these teams are not going to stop getting better. Welcome everybody to the George Mokoena podcast. My name is George Mokoena. I am your host, and this is a place where I look at a couple of stories that I saw from last week. I tell you my thoughts and feelings around it, hopefully to start a conversation in the comments and beyond. But what I've done also is that we're going to review some matches. We're going to look at what happened in the Nedbank Cup, and then also and go see what's happening in the EPL. So much to speak about in this show. Let's get straight into it. Can I tell you what's crazy? What's crazy is that a couple of days before this announcement was made, I made a video where I was saying that, Coach Seema, Coach Mohafe, Coach Zwane should be given their flowers. Because these are coaches that don't have fancy UEFA titles, that didn't coach at big teams, that didn't get their own technical teams, they didn't get signings, mega signings and all of that stuff. But it's three coaches who at the time were sitting number 3, 4, and 5 on the log. And jokingly at the end of that video, I said, hopefully, abo chairman, don't chairman, and get rid of them. Lo and behold, a couple of days later, Coach Seema has parted ways with idiskitv United. Now, if you remember correctly, the story, beginning of the season, they parted ways with him to bring in Peter Hibala. Peter Hibala got into some alleged personal problems and had to leave the country. And who did they call? Seema. And where does Seema take them? He takes them back into a top 5 place. But yet he finds himself on the sideline. I think there's a disrespect when it comes to our coaches from the teams, from the managements, and from fans. There's a coach in Coach Nabi that is sitting now, I think, number 8 in the log. And there's all of the time and all of the hope and all of the we want to give the transfers and all of that stuff. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm using him as an example. But then you've got our South African coaches that are moving mountains. When last did Chiefs play CAF? When last season Chiefs couldn't get into a top 8 position. And here comes Coach Seema, having started with Polokwane City and put them into a top 5 space. Now with idiskitv, literally after taking over halfway through the season, takes them into top 4. But he finds himself out of a job again. And my feeling, completely my feelings, allegedly, these are all my feelings. My feeling is that it came time where he was asking for the proper respect. For those who don't know, a lot of our coaches, the local ones, are usually on 6-month contracts, a year contract. It's literally, you are a caretaker. Coach Atazwane right now, his contract ends at the end of the season. I don't know if they've started talks to extend, but his contract initially was to end at the end of the season. Him and Coach Vusmuzi Vilagazi, who also moved on. Now Coach Tentens at Marumo Kalans. When things are going wrong, the phone call is made. And he's brought in to caretake, and then he leaves. But I think what I want to make this about is not necessarily about the decisions and the choices that were made by these teams. But I want to speak about us as a South African football-loving public. We need to learn how to uplift. We need to learn how to just support some of our coaches. In the comments of that video, a lot of people were saying, he's coaching with no pressure. it's different with smaller teams and all of that. And in my head, I'm looking to myself, I'm saying, here's a coach that has been able to find top 5, top 4, 2 seasons in a row. Now Coach Mohafe, they were fighting to keep our police. But he's looking at a top 5, top 6 finish. At some point was number 3. And we've got all of this praise for the Miguel Cardosos, rightfully so, for the Jose Riveros, rightfully so. But for the guys who are making miracles happen, we need to uplift them. Coach Barker at Stellies. Season in, season out. Players leave, players come in, players leave. He has to go find new ones. But yet he keeps a certain standard up. I think he's back to 3rd now. He keeps a certain standard up. Despite the challenges. For years now. Abu Coach Gavin Hunt, who were holding down Supersport for so long, having to blood in youth and older players that maybe are past their primes and have to find a unit. And he's played CAF a couple of times and he's explained about the struggles of playing CAF and playing that football on a shoestring budget with a very small team. Why don't we think about those guys when we say those are the ones that are meant to go to the next level? Bona labo Puti, labo Coach Seema. We are so ready to accept foreign coaches who we don't know anything about. I remember I was honest when I was sitting here with Coach Nebe. I'm a Chiefs fan. I'm going to use him as an example. It's not to say that he's good or bad. That's not what today's topic is about. I looked at Coach Nebe beginning of the season when he was hired, and I said, I don't know what Coach Nebe is bringing. You know, it's so crazy that we can't even fathom a Dan Dan's coaching Orlando Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs, Mamelodi Sundowns. We can't fathom a Seema, fathom a Pitso Mosimane, fathom a Atazwani, top 5 finish with Kaizer Chiefs, by the way, Atazwani coaching the big teams. But yet when the teams bring us these random names, nobody's saying anything. It's such a sad case. And I'm so grateful, the next topic is going to deal with this, but I'm so grateful that all of our other coaches are seeing the light. Coach Fadlu, doing incredible in Tanzania. We mentioned Abu Ramu Rebule. But we can't keep sitting with the same outcomes and then doing the same thing over and over and over again. The same outcome of going to these coaches to rescue your team when things are not going right, when your foreign coach is not working out, and they rescue your team. Ow, so funugum keep umuntu. Now Coach Vilakazi saves Richards Bay from relegation. Ow, Jiggy a few months later is fired. Coach Braki steps in. Coach Brakis is fired. So it's just a sad state of affairs when it comes to the respect that we give to the coaches in SA. And it actually goes well into the next topic. Coach Benny McCarthy has been announced as the Kenyan head coach. He's going to be the Harambee Stars head coach for the foreseeable future, bringing along Munib Josephs. He was announced last week as the new coach. And this story caught my eye because it's well documented that Coach McCarthy was looking for jobs. It's well documented that Coach McCarthy, after leaving Man United, even before going to Man United, he had been knocking on all types of doors. Now, as a refresher, Coach Benny is a coach that took AmaZulu to number 2 in the log, took them to Africa. AmaZulu. See where Pirates is right now? AmaZulu was playing Champions League football. Won a trophy with Cape Town City. Yes, his final season was a little bit rocky, results-wise. But for all intents and purposes, that is a good coach. And what makes me sad about this situation, I'll speak about what makes me happy, but what makes me sad about this situation to start off with is that where else in South Africa are you going to find a coach that has the will to win that Benny has worked under the world's best managers, has been a performer national team-wise, still our highest scoring player in the national team, came through and won some trophies with the Orlando Pirates as a player, started coaching Abu Cape Town City, took Abu Amazulu into the Champions League. How many coaches do we have with that pool of experience? Yet here, for some reason, we don't deem him good enough to coach a Pirates. We don't deem him good enough to coach a Sundowns. We don't deem him good enough to coach a Chiefs. Guys, how many South African coaches left and went to go coach at Manchester United? Yes, I know, hey, the situations were this and that, and he was only a strikers coach. How many coaches do we have that can do that? Not only do we not give them jobs, not only do we not do that, we don't even sing their praises. I'm going to go back to singing their praises because I spoke about Abo Seema, I spoke about Abo Tentens, I spoke about Abo Puti Mohafe, I spoke about Abo Atazwani and how we refuse to sing their praises. What's worse is that we won't give them the jobs. Look at the guys who are on the top end. Right now, Coach Pitso should be on the list of every team in South Africa right now. He should not have to blink or worry. Coach Benny should not have been anywhere, but you know what happens? We are for khoza. Do you know what happens? Ngena bo hibala. Do you know what happens? Wadu. Abdesalam Wadu at Marumo Kalan steps in. And I'm not saying that these guys are not good coaches or whatever. But I'm sure he's going to get a budget. I'm sure he's going to get time. Think about Pablo Franco Martin. The type of contract he had, the time he had, the changes that were made. Yet we cannot fathom doing the same thing for Atazwani, whose contract ends right now. We can't give them the respect. And here comes Kenya. Do you know what warmed my heart about that thing? The good stuff. One, Coach Benny was like, it's fine, guys. I'm not going to sit here and beg. Namiting Hambe. There's a place where my expertise, my experience, everything that I bring to the table is going to be taken seriously. Iting Hambe. I'm so happy for our coaches looking outside. But I'm even more happy at the response that he got. I was speaking to Jamie from Box to Box Register, a Kenyan. I did an interview on their channel. And he was telling me about, this doesn't normally happen. You don't get the red carpet rolled out for you. You don't do booking out a center, having all types of performances and things, inviting media. You don't normally do it. That's how you treat your coaches. Look at how happy Dad was to bring in Coach Rulani, and they rolled out the red carpet and they were going crazy and they backed him. And I know in this case, he is the foreign coach going into a country. But I'm trying to show that this is how we need to be treating our coaches. We can't have Coach Benny sitting with no job. Coach Pitso sitting with no job. Coach Den sitting with no job. Then we're going to complain about the type of coaching and the type of games and experience we produce in the country when literally we have our people right there, yet we do not want to give them even the credit for what they have done. Imagine how competitive the league would be if we had a Coach Pitso back in versus a Rivero, versus a Caroso, versus a Benny. Yeah? Versus a Mangoba, we're going to speak about him next, versus a Mangoba. Then you bring in Abo Ramurebule. A man who's got Champions League experience. How many South African coaches have Champions League experience, CAF Champions League experience? Abo Fadlu. We should be fetching Abo Fadlu, man, to say, hey, Fadlu, come back here. But they're respected out there. Coach Fadlu is coaching one of the biggest teams in Tanzania right now. Can hardly get a look this side. I know Pirates gave him a chance. Nomandla Ncigazi. They got to the finals of, they got to the final of the Confed that year. But how insane is it that those people have to go elsewhere? Mabakhona la. When you're complaining about the standards of our game, they're right here. Invincible season. He was assistant coach for the Invincible season in Morocco. I'm sorry, but we need to do more, man. But I'm so happy for Coach Benni, man. I'm so happy for Coach Benni. I hope he takes Kenya to the highest of heights. I hope he's given time. I hope that he proves himself. I hope that Kenya continues with this energy. And I genuinely hope that we rue the days when we didn't want to give Coach Benni a job in the league. And for those who say it's money, it's this, it's that, guys, visas, work permits, technical teams, how much do you think that costs? I know Coach Nebi was out here saying 3 times, I've got offers for 3 times what I'm earning. But you've come with 5 people. Yet we're not allowing our Pitso to do the same thing. 3-time CAF Champions League winner. I'm sorry, we just need to do better in that regard. In any case, the last thing I want to speak about is Coach Manqoba. He's gone back to his house. Yeah, he was telling people about houses. He's gone back to his house. Last week, Coach Manqoba was announced as the coach of Golden Arrows. Went on to somewhat upset Mamelodi Sundowns, hold them to a draw, the first draw that Mamelodi Sundowns have gotten this season. And now he takes the helm at Golden Arrows. Now, I love this move because, you know, the quality of the league goes up. Of course, Manqoba is a quality coach, whether you like him or not, and he goes back to a team that he understands. What I am asking for from these teams is, can you make sure that you back Coach Manqoba? Coach Kanu, a year ago, came onto my show on TikTok, my live show on TikTok, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday on TikTok and on YouTube at 7 p.m. He came onto the show and, you know, we were having a discussion. Actually came onto the show first and I interviewed him, where he was saying that, you know, you have to lobby for things like the catapult, those trackers, the GPS trackers. You have to lobby for softwares, the softwares that they use to analyze and things like that. And I'd love to see a time where PSL clubs stop being miserly with these things and start allowing coaches to be everything that they can be with resources, with backing. Forget about signings. So I'm hoping that this is a step for Golden Arrows forward to say, listen, we've brought somebody who was Kopitori for a very long time. Boma 12 years Kopitori. He has coached Champions League games, he has won leagues, he has won trophies, and now we've got him here. I'm hoping that Mamatu takes it seriously this time and gives him everything that he needs. Because the league is slipping. Mamelodi Sundowns is so much better than everybody else. Number 2 is Pirates, who's also so far ahead of everybody else. Number 3, Kimangmang, they're also far ahead of everybody else. And I think it's a function of not taking this seriously, bringing the resources and backing the coach. So my challenge to the PSL for the end of this season, for next season, is back Atazwan, back Steve Barker, back Gavin Hunt, back Putimo Hape, back all of the coaches that have shown you that there's something. Now, I don't know what Coach Manqoba is going to do. Like I said, he's been gone for a very long time, and we saw how Coach Steve struggled when he left the Eden, the Garden of Eden over there at Kleurkop. You saw how much he struggled. So we're still going to see whether Coach Manqoba has it or whether hey, segunzimugudli papa, because nichwaele caviar, right? We'll see how well he can do there. But I have no doubt that Golden Arrows have made a right move with bringing back Coach Manqoba. it's good to see those coaches getting chances. And again, it would have been so incredible to see Coach Benny in the league, like let's say Cape Town City again, Coach Benny in the league, or Coach Benny at Kaizer Chiefs, let's say, I don't know. To see him versus Hunt, versus Barker, versus Cardoso, versus Rivero, versus Mohafez. It would be such an interesting league. But we need to be taken serious, and the coaches need to be taken serious. So hopefully Coach Mangoba is going to be given enough time, enough leeway, and enough resources to swing around the Golden Arrows. One of the I think they're the 5th or 6th most team with the most games in the PSL era. They had dropped out. I think they came back in '98. So outside of Chiefs, Pirates, Supersport, who have been ever present, would have been Wits if Wits was still around. I think Golden Arrows has the next most in terms of a team. So they've got proper history and experience within the league. And all of that history and experience must be merged with putting your money where your mouth is. No more talk, no more lazy hires, no more caretaker coaches. Now it's time to move, and we'll see how that pans out. Congrats to Coach Mangoba for finding a soft landing spot, man, for him. Let's move on. Okay, so I know I stopped the video a lot, and a lot of you are wondering, why are you asking for money? So I wanted to show you. I asked for money because I want to do more of this. Huh? But the truth of the matter is that it took over an hour in order just to render that shot. And it takes even longer when I'm doing my normal content because, guys, here's the unsung hero of the channel. And unfortunately, Shem, but the screen is broken. I have to use a second screen and the performance is not up to it. So I'd really love to upgrade things like that. And when you look over here, this is what the setup looks like. Rehenga di patlo and rehenga di green screen, which is a reality of being a South African content creator. Also, this is what people think is my studio. It's actually my house. So if you still don't know that I'm doing all of this from my home, then I don't know. But that is essentially what I want to do. More of these cool things. But I need you guys to please help me out by donating 50 Rand or more into this account. You know, we're fighting for multi-choice. And multi-choice, but there are subscription models all over the place. And I'd love to give the biggest quality while also being able to pay my rent and do things like that. That is where your money is going. And I promise to give you only the best content that I can if you do throw something in. So I just wanted to show you guys what I want to do with your money. I want to take this South African football and fulfill my dream of taking it into the future. But thank you guys so much. Remember, this is the bank account that you deposit into. Get back into the video. Okay, so everybody knows in South Africa this weekend was Nedbank Cup weekend. We were looking at the last few teams that were left, and we got a little bit of a break from league action. One of the games that played was Imarumo Gallants, who came out to beat Durban City, formerly known as Maritzburg United, a team that has some fights with Abu Herikwala Stadium and that municipality. But anyway, Marumo Gallants continued a very good run where they'd beaten Orlando Pirates and now they've qualified for this. So in as much as I'd spoken earlier about Coach Abdesalam Wadu, and I might be saying it wrong, guys. I apologize to the coach, but he has been bringing the business, and now Imarumo Gallants finds themselves in the semi-finals of the Nedbank Cup. But there's two games that I want to zone in on, of course, the two big games. I'm going to start off with Supersport versus Orlando Pirates. Supersport versus Orlando Pirates, a game that ended 2-2 after regulation time and extra time. And we were able to go through to penalties where Supersport was one gauze fingertip away from knocking Pirates out. But Pirates proves again that they are the Cup Kings for a reason, and they progressed to another semi-finals of the Nedbank Cup, looking to win it 3 times in a row, which would be insane. Now, when we come into the match, the two teams, I'm gonna just briefly speak about the two teams. I think Supersport's a little bit lost. Whenever I see Jugamanja come on, and the matches I've watched where Supersport is playing, Jugamanja doesn't fit the mold of what Supersport is as a team and what philosophy they follow. If you know anything about Gavin Hunt, he is a very old school. We played wide, we cross the ball, we get 2 strikers in the middle or 1 striker in the middle to finish it off. In fact, usually Jugamanja was played with Abu Khrobla, and what would happen is that he would be he would be following up on Frosla, on Grobler. So if Grobler goes up for a ball and for some reason doesn't win it, he would pick up those balls that have fallen into the box and maybe score from that perspective. But seeing that game, it felt as though iSupersport did really come for a draw. It felt as though iSupersport didn't have too much going forward, didn't bring anything really to the game, even when Abo Grobler came onto the pitch. Now, Grobler, of course, one of the highest scoring players in league history. I believe he is third all time, if I'm not mistaken. So Usniper came in, and even with him, you couldn't see what exactly iSupersport was trying to do, right? Pirates went ahead through an incredible goal from Mbogazi. A goal that, what a finish from the boy, just making his debut right now. I think he's 19 or 20, showing shades of Abolibito, Mabangena, and players like that, Abomfukeng, which is really dope to see Orlando Pirates bringing in some young players, man, and giving them a chance to play in some really important games, and them showing up. Then, of course, Uskomi, the guy who's keeping the central defensive striker alive, in the mold of Unkata. Umakhupa scored the other goal for Orlando Pirates to make it 2-0. Then SuperSport was able to equalize twice and take it into extra time. Extra time wasn't too much to write home about. I think both teams at some point resigned themselves to the fact that they were going to penalties. And the penalties came down to quite a bit, but Pirates was able to see off SuperSport. Now, I've got two good things that I want to point out from each of the teams now, and then we're going to look at some of the bad things. Or actually, let me start with the bad. We're going to start with the bad things. Like I said, SuperSport looked a little bit lost. I think they've lost a lot of their identity, and I feel as though all of the players that they're losing is actually, they lose every year, is actually starting to take its toll on the team. Sean Campbell is doing incredible. Almost made a Europa League debut, to tell you how good that kid is doing. But I think losing those type of players forced Gavin to look into a different type of football. I remember at the beginning of the season, we saw Vincent Pule coming in, and he was trying to play them more as inside forwards than to play that expansive game that he plays. But it does seem that Nurkovic, Grobler, Saile are going to give you a little bit of that football back. But I think SuperSport has been shaky for a couple of years, and maybe now Stan Matthews, who runs the team, should be taking it more serious what Gavin says. That maybe now is time to buckle down and, compete. SuperSport United, one of the storied teams in the league, like I said, been there since the beginning of the PSL era in terms of 1996 when the league as we know it started off. They've been there ever since. They've won 3 league titles at some point in a row. So we should be expecting a lot more from them. But I think this game was a little bit sad because of that. When we go into Pirates, Pirates fans fight me all the time about this. And I'm going to stick to my guns. Guys, Pirates' front line is not as prolific as we try to make it seem when we're speaking. And in every comment, I hear the same thing. We create chances, our strikers don't finish, Pirates are doing this, they do that. And again, if the goals are not scored, do chances created count? If there was a table of chances created, I think Chiefs would be a very happy team at this current juncture. But it does still lend itself to the fact that Orlando Pirates is not a team that is fluid enough up front, that scores enough of the chances that they create, that even create sometimes. You can even ask about the creation because you don't know what was happening with Mhaonkota, for example. What was happening with Makhupa? Makhupa was even dropping back. And yes, you can argue that there was 2 or 3 chances that he should have taken same time. But you start to see that, man, there's a little bit of lack. Even when Mabasa's on the pitch, I saw the cameraman always panning towards Mabasa and showing Mabasa and trying to stoke a storyline that Mabasa's the better striker. But let's be honest, they don't score at that type of high rate, Orlando Pirates. And this season, I think if you're going to go head-to-head and toe-to-toe with that juggernaut up there, you have to be way more clinical in every single game that you play. Let's speak about the midfield. Again, I think it was a quiet day for the midfield. it's not that much to write home about, because at the end of the day, iSupersport was in the game for quite a long time in this game, and they did give something, right? It did end 2-2, but you can't have games that end like this too many times. Now, if we look at the good side of the coin, it's that iSupersport hung in there. It's very simple to say that Orlando Pirates are the Cup Kings of the country. It's very simple to say that they are second on the log, so therefore they should automatically be better. But I'd imagine SuperSport put up quite a fight to get back into the game. Yes, Chain made a mistake. Yes, there's a lot of conversations about the communication at the back and things like that. But SuperSport made it back into this game, and they were literally a stronger hand away from making it through. On Pirates' side, and I think this is where a lot of Pirates fans misunderstand me when I speak about Pirates. I think it's incredible. The fact that when you need a goal, somebody puts their hands up. There's not many teams that have that. There's not many teams that can go into a game and miss chances and do all of the stuff, and then a random defender who just got into the team, a youngster, finishes it. Where a Makaula can score a header out of the blue, where Hoto can score a free kick out of the blue. Guys, if you look at the stats, we're looking at Abum Fukeng and all those guys, but if you look at the goals that Pirates have scored this season, they've been spread across a ton of players, which is incredible. That shows you a great team. And what Pirates showed in the game versus SuperSport is, even when it gets super tough, even when Abotito come on and Utito was losing balls, I can see he was trying to do these fancy passes and losing balls, you can still find a way out. My big point about Pirates is you have to supplement that with finishing your chances. You have to supplement that with your strikers carrying the load, because you can't have everybody carrying the load all the time, because sometimes those players need somebody to carry them. Those players need somebody to make it easy for them. So for me, that's what I love about the Pirates. That's what I enjoy so much about the Pirates, about the strength, the depth of that team. In terms of people who can put their hands up. Even on the other depth, guys, the fact that your cameraman can go from Mahupa to Mabasa, we still know that Lipasa is somewhere sitting there. I think what Jose is just going to have to balance now is maybe some fatigue from some of the players. Maybe some players, man, it's not even about being off or being bad. Sometimes you just need a rest every now and then. And there's some players that have been playing insane minutes that maybe should be given a chance to just, sit down for a little bit, gather themselves again so they can re-energize and go again. There's still a very long season left ahead, especially for the Pirates. Going into CAF, they obviously want to go as far as possible in the Nedbank, win it. And of course, you want to keep up the chase. 12 points behind Mamelodi. 4 games in hand versus a Mamelodi Sundowns team. That's 12 points. If you were to win all those games, you're 4 points away from Mamelodi Sundowns. So I think what's misunderstood about me speaking about Pirates is I genuinely believe that Pirates is one of the best teams in the league. And I genuinely believe that Pirates, Aishaya my team, Shaya yona. Wait, the Pirates sometimes the best football. But then when I game more Pirates if it and habana energy, habana matla, babonsur babatla wina, and they get very emotional. So when Pirates does those type of things, I look at them and I say, no, pull up your socks. So again, it's not that Pirates' front line is bad. It's not that some games they don't create opportunities, but they're not scoring as much as they should be scoring. They're not finishing as much as they should be finishing. Those front guys are not getting the numbers that they should be getting if you want to go chase and want to go do well in the league. And well in the league, you're chasing a juggernaut up there. You have to be better. Look at Ribeiro's numbers. Look at Reina's numbers. Shalulila's coming with different numbers now. On top of the random goals that come from everywhere else. You have to have a balance of both. And I think Pirates doesn't have that now. But my fear is that Pirates goes back to that team last season that was losing random games and you wouldn't know why. Maruma Gallants didn't play the best football, but they beat them 2-0. For example, Cape Town Spurs last season. But in any case, guys, the other game that happened this weekend was Stellenbosch versus Kaizer Chiefs. Guys, it's so nice to wake up on Sunday and not need to go to the shops to go buy bread because the daily bread was delivered right to your door. Stellies falling again to Kaizer Chiefs. Again. Now, the game was a very open one. The game was a very open one. They were going back and forth. I think both teams decided to leave big holes in the midfield, whether it be from Stellenbosch's side, taking off Abu Butzak at some point and leaving a hole, whether it be from Kaizer Chiefs' side where, yes, Ngoboqele and Serino played well, but defensively, there were some moments that maybe could have been a little bit hair-raising, right, from the Chiefs side. But all in all, I think it was a great game. The 3-1 scoreline is flattering to Kaizer Chiefs because I don't think they played super well in that game. I think they had control, and I think again the games are coming down to decision making by the players in the league. You see, Pirates, it's not just you. Everybody struggles with this decision making and finishing thing in our league, which is disappointing to say the least. But Chiefs was able to come through and win that 3-1. Now I've seen the comments. And guys, I don't like talking about refs. Personally, I'm not a person who speaks about refs. But what I will say is that the reffing was bad all the way around in that game. And for those who are complaining, I'm not going to say whether it was or not, but for those who are complaining about the second goal the Chiefs scored, that came from the corner, and there's questions about offside, there's questions about impeding the goalkeeper, there's so many different questions, right? You also have to factor in the fact that there's somebody who handballed the ball up here and in the middle of an attack, and a penalty was given and not a yellow card was seen. I think if we're being fair, there's a couple of moments where Toure maybe should have been looked at twice by the goalkeeper, by the referee, but it wasn't. So I don't like speaking about refs because it is what it is, guys. You're going to get caught. Now, I think Kaizer Chiefs did well by winning that game in the 90 because if they were to go to second half, those subs that Nabi, when you make subs, sometimes you wonder. Those subs were not going to be able to compete with Stellenbosch's subs. When Stellenbosch brought in Abo Tiong, Abo Barnes, while still having Cupido, I think, was still on the pitch, while still throwing people forward, I don't know if Chiefs would have been able to survive in extra time, owing to the fact that the players that were doing well were off. Were off at some point, were taken off at some point. So, very interesting game. Let's get into the two good and two bad things I picked up from this game. I think Stellenbosch has lost its identity, very similar to the comments that I made about Supersport. So, if you look at how Stellenbosch used to play, last season, Stellenbosch was a counter-attacking transition team, which meant that we win the ball, we transition out, and it's either going to be Van Wyk and Reyners or Reyners and Titus. But it was usually a two-man counter. And it served them pretty well because they could absorb a lot of the pressure from other teams and hit them on the break. I remember the Pirates game from last season that they won 1-0. Even the game that they played against Pirates this season, to be honest with you, well, the 1-0, this one of the games, was also something you could point to. But this season, after losing Reyners, after losing Van Wyk, they'd go on to lose Adams. But in any case, they started this season. Nabomjela, they made some signings. And they were doing this incredible thing. They had 3 attacking players with 1 10. And the 10 was De Jong. Still, for me, the most underrated player, right, in the league. One of the most underrated players in the league. So, they would overwhelm teams. He kind of changed from being a reactive team to being a proactive team that puts teams under pressure by overwhelming them. If you think of the Kaizer Chiefs, they attack in a similar type of way. It's just that Luti Young has a lot more control of that when they're running. You still want a little bit more control from Serino, but that's not what you're talking about here. So you watch them do that. Then they started, because of injuries, losing Abomujela to play De Jong as the striker, which takes away his biggest strengths of controlling the game. Then they take them off. I mean, when you look at it, Stellenbosch had De Jong on the bench. They had Barnes on the bench. And I think they've been listless. I don't know if it's because of the CAF part of it and the traveling and maybe having to play things a lot simpler in a game and not being able to do those high grade things too much. But I think Stellenbosch has lost its identity and its danger. When it comes to Chiefs on the bad, they just can't finish, man. They just can't finish. Guys, I am tired of hearing in the league about chances created and box entries. You got to finish them. Because box entries is not a stat that gives you 3 points. Chances created and missed. If you look at the big... Do you know what I want you to do? When you watch games, at the end of games, go to Google or go to SofaScore or wherever and look for the big chances created and big chances missed. Because sometimes we hide behind, oh, we got into the box so much. But to be fair, I think Dupree's... he's shooting boots. His shooting boots are something else. They're not quite there. And he doesn't have the backup of everybody else. Modi, I would love to play Modi as an inside forward on the left-hand side. But he goes missing for so much of the game. And then Ngalulilepo hugs the line. Man, I get to rely on Mara, he can't even let go of the line. We swear all the time. Whereas maybe you need a power runner going inside. Whether you need a power runner to do those things. And it goes back to me about the structure of Kaizer Chiefs and the way that they play. You see, my thing is having Tele and Ngobo and Serino was a dream. I love it. But that's not a game that's built for Dupree's. Because we need to hamper Dupree's, man. You need to play the balls in behind a lot for him to get the chances. He needs your 5 chances to score 1 goal, we know. So when they start doing those things, man, then the decision making generally. Now, when Abo Serino are not there, Chiefs struggles with decision making, when to pass it, when to cut it back, when to play it through, how to play it through. They give away so many balls in that transition because a lot of them are in a rush. So these are the things that Chiefs just needs to fix. The composure of a counter, being in a counter and still being composed enough to find spaces. Now, when we look into the good, because it wasn't all bad, when you look into the good, I just want to highlight the incredible job that Stellenbosch has done in rebuilding that team. Every year, people leave. Key players. Now, Bobo Dupree's are some of the key players that have left. Tabom Teto are some of the key players that have left. We've spoken about Reyners, Adams, Van Veek. Hey, we've spoken about all of the people that leave Stellies. But to be able to play a 1-1, sort of, 1-1 game. Again, pointing to the fact that you had your Palaces, your Barnes, your De Jongs, your Nkus on the bench is insane. The fact that you can bring in those guys but still maintain the level of the game shows you just how great of a job Coach Barker is doing and his team. Coach Barker and his team are doing in finding people that fit into Stellenbosch's system. I genuinely believe that Stellenbosch, if the owners could just pump in a little bit more money, you could be looking at an incredible team that is able to generate from within. Imagine being able to keep all of these star players, Bo Adams, Bo Reyners, while feeding in more people. And what goes under the radar is the fact that a lot of these guys, this season were found from outside. Labo Mujela, Labo Barnes come from outside the team. Abonku. So that even shows you that even on a scouting level, Stellenbosch has really raised this game. So I want to give them credit for that. But I think the biggest good that came from this game has to be Kaizer Chiefs making it to the semi-finals of the Nedbank Cup. It's been a long time. It's been 10 years, almost 10 years, with no trophies. And, you know, sometimes you just need to go out there and win. I've often said that sometimes you need the taste of winning. So I'd love Chiefs to focus, even though it's going to be hard. We'll speak about the draw just now. Even though it's going to be hard, I would love Chiefs to just focus up and try and win this one. Just to restore some faith in the fan base, man. To reignite the fan base. Guys, 10 years is a very long time. My son has not seen Chiefs win a league. And he just started grade 1 this year. Has not seen Chiefs win a trophy, sorry. So it's a good thing that Coach Nabi has guided the team up to this point. Now they just need to see if they can't finish the job. But well-deserved win from Kaizer Chiefs. Stellenbosch remains our daily bread. Okay, let's go Workant a little bit. There's a couple of matches I want to speak about, one in particular, but I'm going to touch on the others. This past weekend in the EPL, I'm going to point to the big boys who are playing. Number 1, Chelsea makes it up to 4th place after beating Leicester City 1-0. Leicester, of course, not having the best of times, second last on the log. They are number 19, and they're playing against a Chelsea team that is finding a bit of revival under Maresca. You know, at some point it was looking really bad for Chelsea. I didn't know what Chelsea was going to do this season. I was even making fun of some of my friends, but for them to be so close, within touching distance of cementing that top 4, even top 3, not having to play the qualifying rounds, is insane. No noise, no big signings, no hundreds of millions spent incessantly this time. No noise, man. Just work. So I think Chelsea, well done for the 1-0 win that takes you up to 4th place. Then we're going to go into Liverpool versus Southampton. It's Liverpool's league. It's Liverpool's league. Guys, Liverpool have played 29 games and they have 1 loss. All of us we weren't even thinking about Liverpool when Klopp left and Arne Slot has come in. But the incredible job that Arne Slot has done with that team, the way he's tweaked the tactics a little bit to go from, I'd say, that Gegenpress to being a lot more aggressive in transition, if I can put it that way, really helps Liverpool out. And they're well worth the number 1 they have right now, 3-1 win versus Southampton. Southampton lost in the log, staring relegation in the eye. I don't think they're going to be able to get out of that zone in any time soon. But I think Liverpool has been phenomenal. Mohamed Salah has been phenomenal. And let's see if they can just continue on and win this. They also have a chance to win the Champions League after finishing first on that big log. It's insane. It's insane. Nottingham Forest with coach Nuno Espirito Santo are currently sitting 3rd on the log. In fact, they are only, 4 points away from Arsenal right now. No one would have seen this coming. And Nuno Espirito Santo shows that sometimes you don't need mega signings. Think about how happy Arsenal was when they beat Man City. Here comes good old Nottingham Forest, and they managed to beat City. Now I know City is going through a tough time. Like, just for context, City has 9 losses this season. That's 3 times more than what they had last season, just for context. And you never would have penned Man City to be a team that could lose to Nottingham. It's a team that is usually at the top, being chased by everybody. But they're going through a rough patch. But I want to just point to Nottingham because there's so many arguments that are made about we're greatest teams and how much money you need and you need the quality. Now Espirito Santo beating City, not even capping off a season, they're still in the season. He's 3rd right now. That means directly into the Champions League. That is insane. We were laughing at Nottingham Forest just a couple of seasons ago when they were signing everyone. I remember Jesse Lingard was signed there. Look at the job that they're doing here. So well done to Nottingham, but I think the big game that I want to focus a little bit more on has to be Manchester United versus Arsenal. It's a game that historically used to make a big deal about it. But now it feels like this thing has simmered, especially since at the end of this fixture, a 1-1 draw, Manchester United was number 14 on the log, whereas Arsenal was number 2. And those two situations are sad for two different reasons, but sad nonetheless. Manchester United, a behemoth of a club in world football, sitting number 14, not being able to find a rhythm under Amorim, having moved through Abu Ten Hag, having moved through so many different coaches that have come into that club, and them not being able to take over. Now, to be fair to Abu Ten Hag, they won trophies. Abu Mourinho, I think, won the Europa. He won the Europa and the League Cup. So, to be fair to them, they do that, but it's so sad. Then you look at Arsenal. Another season, another choke. Another season, another choke. And, you know, it's one thing to choke at the last minute, man, when you are 2 points away, 3 points away, and you just run out of games. But it's another season where Arsenal has choked 15 points behind Liverpool. It's so bad that Nottingham has a legit chance to jump Arsenal into number 2. But yet you'll hear us speak about the progress, the joy, the love, the this, the that has been done at Arsenal Football Club. Guys, Nuno Espirito Santo is not bringing dogs, buying dogs for training grounds and letting them win. He's not throwing light bulbs. In fact, you'll see him, there's videos of him just dancing with his players after the games. He's not signing hundreds of millions of pounds worth of players. Rice, they're not crying out for a league-killing striker. Number 3 in Nottingham Forest. Number 2, Arsenal. I don't believe that the problem at Arsenal is player quality. I don't believe that the problem at Arsenal is coaching quality. I believe that Arsenal struggles with their mentality, their attitude. You should be fighting tooth or nail. I said earlier that this game means nothing, but you should be fighting tooth and nail for your own pride. When things are getting tough, you should be fighting tooth and nail. Guys, the league is not won at the beginning. The league is won when you leave December. And you have to claw and fight and scrap for every single win that you can get. And there's a team above us in Liverpool that's doing that week in, week out. That understands what they're here to do. But yet, at Arsenal, we're just way too relaxed with the situation. We'll try again next year. How many years have we tried again next year? How many years has Nuno Espirito Santo had this Nottingham Forest team? And how many fans in the Arsenal fandom would choose Nottingham, for example? How many years has Slot had Liverpool? I get we've been building for 5 years, and everybody had said to me that the moment Man City falls off, that is what we're waiting for. Arsenal is going to take over and go through. Now it's crunch time. There's games left, a lot of games left, but you know, everybody's going, it's okay, we're done for the season. There's a complacency. And I think Arsenal at times feels like they're too smart. Do you know why we don't have a striker? It's because we're trying to moneyball this thing. I am sick of people telling me about the right character. I need the right guy who's going to be the right person, who's going to have the right attitude, who's going to say the right things, and he's going to be Arsenal-y, and he's going to be Arsenal material and all of that stuff. Then Kai Havertz walks in. No disrespect to Kai Havertz. Then Mo Stelling walk in. No disrespect to those Stelling, but they're not at the level that you need if you're going to compete with the big boys. And newsflash, it's over 20 years. Newsflash, Ten Hag has more trophies than Arteta. Newsflash, these teams are not going to stop getting better. Everybody's here is going to improve. You expect Liverpool to improve. You expect City. Pep is not going to leave this lying down. You speak about how Aston Villa was going to use the monies and the experiences from the UEFA Champions League to move themselves forward. It's not going to get easier. Yet we keep doing the same things. This one player away thing is not something new. I remember a time when we needed a CDM. No one was brought in. A 6. There was a time when we needed a centre-back pairing. When our Louis were there and all of those guys, we needed a centre-back pairing that was strong enough to support what was going on up front. We didn't buy. When Ozil was on fire, pure fire, we couldn't bring in the people that could finish those chances. We're always a step behind. We're always looking at next season and next season and next season. And take it from a Kaizer Chiefs fan, you will say next season forever. There's a mentality problem. Liverpool, I believe, went to City and won without a striker, for example, for those who are complaining. Manchester United have no reason to play 1-1. Manchester United looked more hungry, especially at the end of that game, thanks to Raya, end of that game, than Arsenal did. And you question yourself to say, do you guys care about this thing? There's going to be injuries every season. It's not new. There's going to be tough games every season. It's not new. But you know what's the difference between a Liverpool side that's number one and an Arsenal side that's not? Firstly, when they were staring success in the face, when they needed to take the step, they did. When they brought in Van Dijk, when they brought in Alisson to round off the cake so that they could go and win, they did it. But more than that is the attitude that Abu Liverpool come into games with. They want to go win the league. And they need to go win the league. It's not something that's written on a board. It's not something that's said. I have not focused or taken note of one press conference here on a slot. Not one. But on the pitch, they're doing the talking. And at Arsenal, we do so much talking at press conferences, even walking out of press conferences now. But anyway, so much talking at press conferences. So much talking in the media. So much talking in the videos that drop. So much talking in the kits that drop. So much talking, but the results say no, you are not there. So I need people to wake up. When you can't go to a Manchester United team that is 14th and win, what are you going to win? And this is a question to everybody, the players, because you should be playing for your own pride on the pitch. It goes to the coach, Arteta. How much time do you need? Every year it's something different. You're telling me that in the 3 years that we've needed a striker, Mikel Arteta couldn't get the striker from the board when we've spent all types of money everywhere else. We've changed the way that we play 3-4 times under Arteta. The board. Can you grow some balls? It's not about firing people, but it's about holding people to the fire and saying, look, guys, we are serious about this. Stan did it with the Rams. We are serious about this. We need this. And if you can't bring it to us, we love you. You just so happen to be our Brendan Rodgers before we bring in the club. Imagine giving up with so many games left of the league. I'm tired, man. You can't keep doing this. Imagine we'd given up if we were done. So, hey, Mikel, you better win us the Champions League this year by hell or high water. Unai is coming. Unai. Nuno Espirito Santo, they're coming. On top of the fact that you have to fight on a slot and Pep is probably going to rebound, Maresca is coming up. You know, this reminds me of the last time this happened to Arsenal, where the top team fell off and we thought, yes, and then Leicester won the league. This is that. And if you don't change this, nothing's going to change. Anyway, guys, that has been the George Mokoena podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Please remember to do the really nice things, the liking, the subscribing, the sharing. Let's share this as far as possible. Let's have conversations everywhere. It's been amazing, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.